Hello everyone, it's Karen. Welcome to another album review. Now today we're going to be doing another album review. Now we're going to be reviewing an album for as back as the 1950s. Now we've never done a 50s album review before, but this will be an interesting one to do. I wanted to do an album review today because I haven't done a video for a while. I've been trying to think of ideas to do, and I'm working on a first times listens. I'm nearly finished. I've just got to get maybe a few more in before I can make the video for April, May and June. But I'm working on it, so don't worry. Vinyl update, there should be another vinyl update because I've got in quite a few things since then. Since the last one, but it's in working on it at the minute. But today I wanted to do an album review, and I was sitting around thinking of albums to do, and this is one I've been thinking of doing for a while. And this was an album I've been thinking of doing for a while, along with some other albums. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And it's Elvis. This is Elvis' second album, also known as Rock and Roll Number 2. So I wanted to review an Elvis one, because I haven't talked about an Elvis album on the channel before. So in this video I'll go over the album's history, tell you details about the album, show you my copies of the album, and go over each track individually and kind of rate the album as a whole. So Elvis, or Rock and Roll Number 2 in the UK, was released on the 19th of October in 1956. By 1956, Elvis Presley had kind of become a nationwide star in both US and UK. He had many hits, from like Heartbreak Hotel to Hound Dog and I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, and Don't Be Cruel, those songs. He'd released his first album in the March of 1956, and after that first album, RCA were kind of pressing Colonel Parker and Elvis to get into the studio and gather material for a second album. But due to Presley's touring schedule and television appearances, that took quite a while. So they kind of needed to get Elvis on a day when he was not doing anything. But then during the summer of '56, he was filming his first film called Love Me Tender. So after filming was complete in August, and one day at the beginning of September, they got him into the studio, and over a period of 3 days recorded several bunch of songs that would become the material for this album, Rock and Roll Number 2, the second album. And there were some songs that Elvis recorded as singles for that period. Like, for instance, he recorded during the sessions Too Much and its B-side Playing for Keeps. And he'd also recorded, before this, he'd recorded Hound Dog and Any Way You Want Me, That's How I Will Be, and Don't Be Cruel, those songs. So he recorded quite a bit of material during this before, but the sessions kind of went around in September. So the album was then released in October, pretty much very quickly. They kind of put it out at the same time as the first one to keep the kind of demand and the sort of phenomenon going. It was released in October 19th, 1956. It peaked at number 1 in the US and number 3 in the UK. And all in all, it's a great album, and I know it's a favourite of fans, although many fans don't say it's as good as his first, but I like it. I love it. I think it's a great album. So I'm going to show you my copies of the album. Here's my original vinyl copy. This is a 1962 pressing, but the original pressing had a different cover to this one. The original pressing was on the HMV label, and it had a picture of Elvis in black and white and on a yellow background, like wearing a black shirt. That was the original cover, and the back had some pictures as well in the back. This is the RCA Victor pressing. This was the cover that they used for the American editions of the album. It says the vinyl. This is my mono copy. There's the songs there, the liner notes. This one's a bit tatty, but it's in good enough condition for its age, I think. And there's a record on RCA Victor label. So I meant to say that the album was recorded at the Radio Recorders Studios in Hollywood. So yeah, it's actually quite good condition, the record, but it plays really well all the way through. There's that one. There's the vinyl. Okay, now I'm going to show you my CD copy. Here's the CD version of it. This comes in the Elvis Original Albums Classic Series set that I've got. This is my first copy of the album, actually, that I owned. And this was the first time I really heard the album, was this CD. And it's very similar package to the vinyl, just a bit smaller. And it's on this label. But nice if they reproduce the original RCA labels, but hey ho, you can't have everything. So, let's go over the album's tracks individually. So we start this album out on a great one with Rip It Up. What a way to start off this album. I like the start, and I like the way it starts when Elvis kicks in with the vocal and the piano and vocal kicking at the same time, and then the whole band joins in. It's really great, upbeat, bouncy sort of rocker to start off the first album. And Rip It Up was originally a Little Richard song, and this was recorded by many people from the Everly Brothers. John Lennon recorded a version with a medley of Ready Teddy on his rock and roll album in 1975, and I think Buddy Holly may have done a version of Rip It Up. I could be right or I could be wrong, but I think he may have done a version of Rip It Up at some point, Buddy. Yeah, great way to start off the album though. I think it's a great way to start the album, is Rip It Up. Then we get Love Me. This is a great one. I really like the way Elvis starts the song with "Treat Me Like a Fool," and it's just like a soft ballad piano with the Jordanaires accompanying and backing vocals, which I think is a nice accompaniment. And the Jordanaires, I think, don't get as much credit as they should when it comes to the backing of Elvis, particularly in this album. Their strongest point comes from this album. That's a great one, Love Me. This has appeared on many compilation albums, and it even appeared in Elvis's live shows in the 70s, like Madison Square Garden and Aloha as well. He played it live in the 70s when he kind of got back to live touring and live performances. And I really like the backing vocals from John Ayres, particularly the line "I Want Your Heart," line. I really like that vocal part in the song. So yeah, that's a great one, Love Me, one of my favourites from 1956. The next song is When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again. And I really like this one. This is a personal favourite of mine, When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again. I really like the ba-ba-ba-da that the Jordanaires have. Kind of makes you think of Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear and Don't Be Cruel a bit, which was recorded earlier in the year, Don't Be Cruel, but Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear wouldn't really happen until 57. But yeah, I really like this one. It's a really good upbeat one. I like the guitar bit in the middle, which is great. And this is one that Elvis actually did on the 1968 television special, and he actually played it live in Shreveport in 1956, in December of 1956. And this was one that he never did live, but he did do it on the comeback special, and there is a version of him singing it in Shreveport in 1956. So yeah, one that Elvis would do live at the time, and it's a good song. I like this one of my favourites, and one of my favourite Elvis tracks, When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again. Then we have the second of 3 Little Richard songs in here, Long Tall Sally. Now this is one that the Beatles would later cover in 1964, and I like Elvis's version. It's a good upbeat version. It's similar to the Beatles, but not that similar. The Beatles is kind of more rocky. Elvis is kind of rocky a bit as well. But the Beatles is a bit more kind of rockier than Elvis's rendition of Long Tall Sally. But nonetheless, a great version of the song. This was recorded around about the same sessions as I think the sessions before Rip It Up. Rip It Up was, I think, the last one that they recorded, the last song to be recorded for this album, and I think Love Me was the first that they did for this album, that was on this album. But anyway, this is a great one, Long Tall Sally. Then the next one is First in Line. Now this is one that Elvis fans don't particularly like, but me personally, I like this song. I like Elvis's vocals on it and the piano, and the Jordanaires' backing vocals as well on this one is a great one. I really like the fact that Elvis's voice, and the vocals, backing vocals from Jordanaires blend in very well for this one. A lot of fans don't particularly like this Elvis song, but me personally, I think it's a great one. I like it. It can be a bit hard to make out what he's saying, I think. It's his mic, something's up with his mic or something. But this was the second last song to be recorded for the album, before Rip It Up on the 3rd of September 56. So this was like one of the last things they did. Was First in Line. So yeah. Then we get Paralyzed. Paralyzed again is one that has appeared on compilations album. This is another good upbeat one. Kind of makes you think of Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, or Don't Be Cruel mostly a bit. It's almost kind of similar to Don't Be Cruel a bit, with the kind of ba-ba-ba-ras and the kind of makes, sometimes they make you think of Don't Be Cruel, but some songs have made me think of Don't Be Cruel in particular, like Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear is another example, which was on Lovin' You a year later, and Paralyzed is another example. Paralyzed is a favourite of mine as well. I really like that one. I really like the beat, the kind of backing vocals as well, and the kind of music style of the song. It's a great one. One that does often appear in compilation albums is Paralyzed. It's a good song. And we turn over to side 2 and we get So Glad You're Mine. Now, So Glad You're Mine was not recorded during the September session. This was a leftover from the sessions from the first album. This was recorded in January of 56 in New York. The same sessions that did Lordy Miss Claudia and Shake, Rattle and Roll and Blue Suede Shoes. Those songs. Yeah, not a bad song. It's quite good. I like the piano. I like the kind of beat, the rhythm. It's a good song. It's not a favourite of mine, but I do like it. But it's not one I would consider playing outside of this album. But it's not bad. It's good. I quite like it. It's a good song. It's alright. The next one is Old Ship. Now, Old Ship, if I'm honest, and maybe Elvis fans agree, it's not a favourite of mine. It's alright again, but it's probably my least favourite Elvis track, or my least favourite on the album. It's not terrible, it's not bad, it's not completely unlistenable, it's just not a personal favourite of mine. I like the Jordanaires' backing vocals is good, but yeah, it's just... Old Ship's just not really a personal favourite of mine. It's kind of a... I don't really know what I must say, it's just not a favourite of mine, but not terrible, not completely unlistenable, just not a personal favourite of mine. It's good, don't get me wrong, it's just not a favourite of mine. And the album improves a bit with Ready Teddy. Now this was the one of the last things they did, and this is the third and last Little Richard song for this album that they did. I really like this upbeat. I really like this one. This is upbeat rocker. This is one of my favourites as well. Ready Teddy. Yeah, really great upbeat song. Great rocker song. I like the piano. And Elvis's vocal performance is great as well. The ready to rock and roll. I like that kind of vocal performance he gives off for that line of the song. Then we have Any Place Is Paradise. Now, Any Place Is Paradise is, again, good, but not a personal favourite of mine again. It's alright. I know some Elvis fans don't like this one either, but it's one that's okay, just not a favourite of mine. But it's not bad, not terrible. I quite like the piano and the guitar perform. I like the rhythm, but you know, it's good. It's not bad, but good. And then we get How's the World Treating You? How's the World Treating You is one of my personal favourites of this album, one of my favourite Elvis songs. I like the piano and Elvis's vocals and the Jordanaires' backing, and particularly at the end of the song after Elvis sings the last How's the World Treating You line, and the ooh. I really like that ooh part that the Jordanaires do at the end. It's kind of like a heavenly choir. And the Jordanaires don't get as much credit as they should, as I think, for this album and for Elvis's records, because they backed on Elvis on a lot of his records from like the 50s and into the 1960s as well. But yeah, one of my favourites, How's the World Treating You? One that doesn't get played as often, but it's one that I like a lot. But however, this has appeared on compilation albums that represent the 1956 era. I've got 2 volumes of an album, the two volume series, the 56 sessions, which I've got downstairs. I didn't pull them out because I forgot to show them. But yeah, they do make an appearance on that one, and it's a great one. Then the last track up has become a bit of a favourite of mine. It's grown on me a bit more in recent listens. It's called How Do You Think I Feel? Now I heard this being sung at the Elvis biopic film from the guy that was playing Jimmy Rogers, I think, because Elvis and Jimmy Rogers appeared on bills in the 50s, so I heard that on the film, and I was like, oh yeah, this is from the film, and it's a good song, I like it. I really like the bum, 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 the kind of bouncy beat it has to it, and the kind of guitar to it, and the kind of middle part where it does the do 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 part, and then the drums do the do 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 do, that kind of part. I really like the kind of rhythm to it, and the drums to it, and the kind of beat and the rhythm to it. It's a very bouncy beat, almost kind of makes you want to bounce along to it in a way. But yeah, great one. How Do You Think I Feel? And that brings the album to a conclusion. So all in all, the album gets a 10 out of 10. It's a brilliant second album. It's right up there with the Beatles. You're Gonna Get It from Tom Petty. What else? Roy Orbison's Lonely and Blue, or I think At the Rock House was his first, but one of the two. And Mika's The Boy Who Knew Too Much is another great second one. Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence. I could make a whole video on favourite second albums, because that would be an interesting concept, I think. But yeah, I think I like this a bit more than the first one. That the first one's great. I'll probably do a video on the first album as well. But yeah, the first album's great as well. But this is probably one of my favourite Elvis albums. It's definitely up there with the top 5. It's up there with Aloha, Moody Blue. The soundtrack to Spin Out I like. What else is a favourite of mine in terms of Elvis? It's probably an Elvis album I've played, the studio album I've played the most in a lot of ways. It's probably the most listened to Elvis studio album, along with Moody Blue and Aloha and things like that. But yeah, definitely one of my favourite Elvis albums, one of my favourite second albums, and one of my favourite albums from the rock and roll artists in the 1950s and 60s. But yeah, it's a great album. I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any ideas for content, or if you like to see me do anything on the channel, any content of some of the stuff, if you want to see me cover some of the artists I've covered before, or if you want to see me cover a video, just leave a comment down below. I hope to kind of do a discography review on Bruce Springsteen in the future, kind of once I've heard all the albums. I hope to make an opinion, but yeah, hopefully I'll do an Elton John album review, because I just went to see Elton John at the Hydro recently, and it was a great concert, so I really want to review one of the albums. Candidates would be like Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, Goodbye Albert Road, maybe Peachtree Road from 2004, Caribou, haven't heard that one as often, but I do like Caribou. So yeah, there's a lot of nice to do for this channel, but like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, or if this is the first time you're kind of checking out the channel, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video. Till then, bye for now.